Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is JD, and I'm back with another performance review courtesy of sneakershoebox.com. If you haven't been over to sneakershoebox.com lately, go ahead and go back right now. Pause this video, go check out sneakershoebox.com. The site is back up, and there's a lot of new changes on the site. So check us out, let us know what you think, and yeah, let's get back into the review. Before I get too far into the review, I want to give a shout out to my homie Just for Kicks 212. Because in my last video, if you haven't seen it, I'll put a box right here to my last video. Okay, got that taken care of. I asked if anybody knew what these 5 dots were for. Okay, now my man Just for Kicks 212, he was able to go ahead and leave a comment in that video and say, hey, JD, that's the Alpha project that Nike had going on a few years back. It was a great era for sneakers, not just basketball wise, but all Nike sneakers, and I agree with him 100%. If you don't know what the Alpha project is, please do yourself a favor, go ahead and Google Nike Alpha project and find out what that's all about. Do your sneaker history, know where all these shoes came from, just to increase your knowledge about the sneaker game. All right, so here we go. Zoom Huarache 2K4. That is the shoe for the day. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me reposition this camera real fast. Alright, so as usual, I'm going to start out with the bottom of the shoe. And if you're wondering why, one, it just makes things a little easier to just go, somewhat, organized, in an organized fashion. Start at the bottom and work your way up, right? And two, I feel like, in my opinion, the traction is the most important attribute that a basketball shoe can offer to me. If the traction is whack, I don't care how cushioned it is. I don't care what kind of Zoom bag is in there. I don't care how breathable the shoe is or how supportive it is. If the traction is whack, the shoe is whack. So that's why I start with this, because it's the most important thing, in my personal opinion. So with that being said, you can see that there is herringbone from heel to toe, with the exception of this one little area right here that is under the ball of the foot. So with that much herringbone, you would expect it to perform really well, right? You're right, it did. The traction is exactly what you expect it to be here on this herringbone. I was very, very pleased with it. It goes as far out to the edge as it possibly can. There is a bit of an outrigger here. There's a little bit of a texture here on the outrigger. I don't know if you can see that, but there is texture on it. But I didn't have any problems with this outrigger like I have with other outriggers in the past. I was very happy with it. Front to back, and what I mean by front to back is starting, stopping motions, in this front to back kind of direction, right? I was very happy with it. It was near perfect front to back. This area right here, this triangular pattern was actually the surprise of the shoe, and in my opinion, I was more happy, more pleased with this section than with all this herringbone, right? And the reason I say that is because side to side, this was the best performing traction I have ever had. And when I mean side to side, if you're down in your defensive stance and you're trying to stand in front and you're trying to stay in front of the person that's on offense that you're guarding, you kind of have to side shuffle, use your good defensive foot movements. And I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with the angle at which these little triangles are cut or what, but side to side, I've never played in a shoe that responded this well. Usually, if you're going side to side, you step a little bit and, the shoe kind of slips a little bit, and then you wait for it to kind of, catch the floor, and then you move. But you didn't get that in this shoe at all. It stuck with me. Clean court, dusty court, really dirty court, didn't matter, right? This shoe was on point, and it did exactly what I needed it to do each and every time. So I was very happy with that. So the traction was amazing, and I'll go ahead and leave it at that. I was very happy with the traction. So moving on up a little bit, as you can see right here, it does say Zoom Air. There is a large volume Zoom bag back here, and there is a Met bag right here under the ball of the foot. This Met bag is a very small volume bag, but it did exactly what it needed to do. It provided me a little bit of extra cushioning right there underfoot, but it wasn't too lumpy because it is a top-loaded Zoom, so you do feel it. Some people complained that they couldn't feel it. I personally felt it. The thing that I liked about this shoe was that it wasn't too excessive. It gave you just what you needed, just enough, no more, no less when it came to the cushioning. This midsole did take a little bit of time to break in. It's a weird kind of midsole. It's kind of spongy, but it's very dense at the same time. It took a while to break in, and it took a few hours, but once it did break in, it was a very comfortable ride. Transition from heel to toe was fairly decent. I was very happy with it. Okay, so under here, under the arch of this, under the foot, there is a carbon fiber shank down there. You can see that right there, and it does provide the support that you need. It's not one of those really high arch shoes, so all the flat footers out there, the low arch guys and gals out there that play ball, you'll be satisfied with this shoe. I hear that there is another piece of carbon fiber down here under the ball of the foot. I have no clue what it's there for. I didn't feel it, I didn't notice it, but I just want to let you guys know that I know it's there. So now, more with the support. I'm sorry if I'm moving kind of fast, but I'm trying to keep this video under like 12 minutes so you guys aren't sitting here glued to the screen for the whole time. So there is an external heel cup here. It's made out of TPU. It's that hard plastic stuff that you're used to seeing in a lot of shoes these days. So it does its thing. Lockdown in this shoe is average. I'm not going to say it's anything to write home about, and it's not, insufficient, but it's just average. Yeah, pretty standard lockdown. And I got a couple of ideas of why, but, I'll keep those to myself for now. I might get into them at a later date after I have a little bit more time to play in them. So right here, this is actually the highest shoelace eye stay, in the shoe. That's the highest one. And just to give you an idea of where that falls in relation to the shoe, it's right here. Right here. So this is the last little layer of lockdown that is being offered right here in the shoe. Right? In my opinion, if they would have had another hole right here, just a little bit higher, I think the lockdown could have been a lot better, because lockdown is just the ability of the shoe to lock your foot down and back in the shoe as far as possible into this heel cup to really utilize it very well. This strap does not really help with the lockdown at all. All it's for is to, if you need it, hold your foot in place inside the shoe, because like I said, the lockdown is just average. But I think it does kind of serve a secondary purpose too. For those people out there who feel like they need a high top shoe to play ball, if you need that extra peace of mind to feel that extra bit of snugness up here, this strap does that job for you just as well as any other shoe out there, right? For me personally, I kind of like a mid cut or a low cut. I like having that range of motion, that free movement in my ankle, because I know that, lockdown is what I'm looking for, not necessarily that tight feel up here of ankle support. If you need that, this provides that. Personally, when I wore these guys, I had this strap on here like super loose. It really didn't serve a purpose for me because I didn't really have a problem with lockdown. I just said it was average. So that's all I got to say about that. Let's talk about breathability. And the breathability in this case actually ties hand in hand with the overall durability of the shoe. So if you look here on the medial portion of the shoe, you do see some perforations here. Right here on the toe box, there are some perforations there. There's none on the lateral side of the shoe whatsoever. And right here on the tongue, there are perforations, and it does go all the way down to here. Okay, so I feel like that's all fine and dandy, but the breathability in this shoe was very subpar. Very, very subpar. By the time I was done playing ball, it was soaked inside this shoe. It really was. But, it is what it is. And the reason why I say that it really hurt this shoe a lot wasn't necessarily because my feet were hot or sweaty or anything like that. It's because of the material that this shoe is made of. Okay, this shoe is nubuck. So it's very flexible. So when I got this shoe, I had the option between this one, which is nubuck, and the white and varsity purple, I think it is, colorway, which is leather with a polyurethane kind of vinyl feeling leather. Covering that overlays the leather. With that model, there is some break-in time that's required for that leather for it to get flexible for you, but the durability over time is good. With this one, there was no break-in time required, so I went with this one. patience is not exactly one of my strong suits, and I'm okay with that. I've acknowledged it, and I'm working on it, so bear with me on that. But I went with this version just because I didn't want to deal with all the break-in time. So what that means for me is, it did not hold its shape very well. Okay, if you look at this toe box, it's kind of permanently like pointed upward now, and around here and here it's bowed outward. So it affects the fit of the shoe and the shoe's ability to completely wrap around my foot to provide me the lockdown that I need. So if you're playing in a regulated game, this shoe will last you, probably a majority of the season, probably not the full season if you're playing like 30 or 40 games. But if you're playing pickup ball, where you're going to be on court for, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, this may not be the best choice for you just because of how it's going to long-term affect the fit of the shoe. That's what I mean by durability, not necessarily, I did bust a seam on this guy. I'm not going to lie. Right here, I busted this seam right here just playing in it. I don't know if the breathability had anything to do with it, but, I will mention it because I'm talking about durability. But overall, I'm talking about just the ability of the shoe to maintain its shape. So just to sum things up, I'm very happy with the shoe itself. I would definitely recommend it for anybody that's looking for a good performance shoe. Traction is bananas on this shoe. I was really happy with it. I'm actually thinking about picking up that white and purple pair just to see how it works out. If it holds up a little bit better, that'll probably end up being my go-to shoe for the time being. It will maybe dethrone my my Eddie Zero Rose 2.5s for the time being. So traction was great. Support was decent. Lockdown was just average for me. Breathability was horrible, which led into a subpar fit. When this shoe was brand new, the fit was great. I love the way this shoe fits. I was very happy with it. But I keep going back to this traction. This traction is just so good that it kind of makes up for all those other downsides. For a 2004 shoe, it holds its own with a lot of the different models that are out there right now. And the price point wasn't too bad. It comes in under $150, so it puts it in the price range of, your Crazy Light, the signature model, so your Flyweight, your Mellow M8, so on and so forth. So I'm pretty happy with it. If you do miss old Kobe's, you will really enjoy this shoe. So that's all I got. As always, follow me on Twitter @nuke_mechanic. Check us out on sneakershoebox.com. You can follow Sneaker Shoebox at Sneaker Shoebox on Twitter. Also check out the Sneaker Shoebox fan page, Facebook.com/Sneaker Shoebox. So go ahead and check us out. And that's all I got. Peace.